You know what time it is. Time to check in with Hubert Davis. Thanks to our friends at CR Legal Team. CR Commitment, CR Results, CR Legal Team, proud partner of Carolina Athletics. Coach Davis, nice enough to come by. Coach, thank you. We know how important scoring from the free throw line is for your teams, and especially this team, because when they've been good, they've really been good at that.
Yeah.
Free throw attempts are down some in ACC play for your team. What do you see that's causing that?
Well, we just need to do a better job of attacking the basket. We talk about it every day that, we want to dominate points in the paint through post penetration. We want to live at the paint. We want to live at the free throw line. The reason being that I stress it every day is because outside of being in transition, that's our best way to score. We haven't been as good in terms of getting second chance opportunities. We turn people over, but not at a consistent rate. And we haven't shot the ball well from outside. So how else are you going to score?
Right. Got to find some way to put that ball in the basket.
Exactly. And I don't know. As I talk about the things that we haven't done as well from an offensive standpoint, I think we're number 1 or number 2 in scoring in the ACC. And so getting out in transition, getting to the free throw line is a huge part for us. But you're right, in conference play, those free throw attempts have come down, and that's something that we're going to have to change in order to be even more efficient on the offensive end.
Is it a difficult message to convey? Like you and I were talking on the radio show on Monday night about how many close games you've been in, and when you get in those close games, it is like every possession is so valuable and important. Is that a difficult message to convey? To go, look, guys, I know there's 50 possessions within a game or whatever it is, but it's go time. Like we have to get what we want on this particular sequence.
I think in that particular sequence, no, it's not hard to get everybody to understand how important this possession is. But I think it's really hard to talk to 18, 19-year-old kids and to get them to understand that a possession early in the first half is just as important as the plays in the latter part of the game, and it was interesting when we were in New York and we were practicing in Madison Square Garden right before we were playing UCLA, and we were practicing, and we ended with a competition, and one of the teams obviously lost, and that team said, let's run it back one more time. And it was a great lesson for them. I said, no, practice is over. And I was like, that's something your generation thinks, that you can get one more time, you can run it back. And there's a lot of situations where you don't get that next time. And I was like, no, you had an opportunity. You may not get a second chance. And they looked at me and they said that they thought about that a lot. They never looked at it from that standpoint because you got your phone, you can order everything on your phone, you can do everything. You always get a second chance, another opportunity. I mean, I don't even remember this. Like now in school, you can take an exam and a test and you get test corrections and your grade is after the test corrections. I never experienced that in school. You take a quiz, you take a test, and whatever you get, you get. You can't go back and write the answers in again and then average out the score. But that's the world that they live in and grown up, that you can do test corrections, but in a game you can't.
Right.
It's over.
The teacher was nice. You got like 3 points. If you did like 100 other things, you might get maybe like 3 points.
Yeah.
This team's fortunate to have a lot of guys who can handle the ball. What do you like about having the ball in RJ's hands in some of those late clock situations, and what are you asking him to do in those situations?
Well, I mean, I like him in his hands because he's an experienced guard and, knows what to do with it. He's come up big so many times, whether it's been scoring or distributing a basketball. So, I mean, obviously I've coached him for 5 years, 1 as an assistant and 4 as a head coach. I feel really comfortable when the ball is in his hands. But, this year they have played him differently. Every time for him, they're putting 2 on the ball against him. They're not allowing him to get one-on-one. If they do, they have a bigger defender on him. And so for him this year, it's almost like Armando last year. You know, Armando's presence generated so much for Cormac Harrison, for RJ, for Elliott, and now for RJ, you know, he opens up so much for Ian, for Drake, for Seth, and for Elliott. And so I couldn't think of anybody better than RJ to have the ball in his hands, whether it's late game situation throughout the game, an experienced guard that knows what to do with it.
You've talked about shot selection some here recently. And you've also talked in the past about you want your guys to be basketball players and not feel like they're in a box and have to do something specific necessarily. Where's that balance between being a basketball player and having confidence in your ability as an individual, but also making sure that the shot selection is what is good for the team?
Yeah, that's probably the hardest thing as a coach, to get guys to understand what a good shot is and what a not a good shot is. And you said something interesting, for the team, not just for you,
right,
but for the team. And, you know, a good shot is a shot that, you know, you consistently make before practice, after practice, and during practice, and in games. And a shot that I've seen in practice and before practice and after practice. And, you know, time and score, you know, the flow of a game. We always talk about want to dominate points in the paint through post-up penetration. I love threes, but, you know, we're an inside-outside team, and that's something that we talk about as a group, as a team on a daily basis in terms of getting good shots. And not just good shots, great shots every possession. I think this team is talented enough to do it, but I think that's one of the toughest challenges as a coach, is to get players to understand what a good shot is for the team, not just for themselves.
You talked on your radio show last night, which I encourage people to listen to, a lot of good stuff there, about how much time you spend talking to agents. I think that's going to surprise some people when they hear that. What are you talking about?
Lunch,
well,
travel.
Are these current player agents, potential player, future high school player agents? I think people will just be surprised to hear that and not sure what those conversations are about.
Well, it's a number of things. It's, you know, developing relationships with the agents, not specifically about a particular player, but just developing a relationship, because that's the agent of, like, people don't understand, like, every one of our players has an agent. Every kid that we're recruiting, starting probably from their sophomore year, has an agent. So that's a lot of agents that you're talking to, and, you know, there's conversations in terms of getting to know each other. There's conversations in terms of transfer portal, NIL. There's a number of different things, but that's something 4 years ago that wasn't a part of college basketball, and it's something that is an everyday piece of college basketball right now.
All right, Carolina back in action.
You want to talk to an agent?
Probably not a good idea.
Next action for Carolina is Tuesday night, 9 o'clock. So quick reminder, we'll be on the air at 8 p.m. from Lawrence Joel there in Winston-Salem as the Tar Heels take on a good Wake Forest team. Big game for both teams coming up on Tuesday night. Coach, as always, thank you for your time. Great to check in with you.
Great to check in with you, too.
That's Hubert.
I kind of bursted Adam's bubble here.
Adam's a little shook over there, Coach. We got to finish this. We're going to get out of here. It's Checking In with Coach Davis, brought to you by our friends at CR Legal Team.